right. All right, we're live. So that's good right there. Oh, that's good right there. Perfect. I can hear that plenty. And that means, oh shit, I'm live right now. I knew that. That's good right there. I just gotta pause that. Make that. Okay. Perfect. So we are live. Good to go. A lot of people here. Probably some will leave. But match just finished, which by the way was a very enjoyable series. I enjoyed that. Well done to both teams. I didn't catch all of it, but I caught the end of Gibraltar. A little bit of what map came right before Gibraltar? There was I watched some Hanamura, and I watched some Gibraltar, and it was a lot of fun to watch. So, congrats to both teams who ended it there. So I guess then we'll just kind of lead right into this. So I'm back after being off last week. I think actually maybe the last 2 weeks I've been off. I've been coaching, doing a lot of double blocks, filling up time Wednesday. So I've unfortunately not been able to maintain the every Wednesday schedule. I'll also be gone next week. There's spring break, but in the meantime, we're here. We're now. I'm ready to go. So we are going to start today. We're going to be working with basically fan favorite. What's up, love? What's going on? We're going to be working with. I was told that this is a good match to go with. I was told that Licorice Whip is a fan favorite, getting close to their first win within this game. And I got a couple maps maybe, depending on how fast they go. I've heard they're pretty short. So with the two that I'm looking at. So I should be able to get through a couple. We'll kind of see. But we're going to start here. We're going to be reviewing Blazing Pegasus versus Licorice Whip. And we're going to be starting on Hanamura. So let's see how it goes. Alright, let's just zoom this forward. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, so we got the defenses coming up here. So one thing I will say, just like normal, leading up in normal, I'm doing the review here, obviously. Now, if you have any questions to me, Overwatch related to the map, feel free. I'm always looking at chat, always answering questions. I always feel the need to say that, but you guys know by now, right? We know the drill. We know the game. Alright, so let's give it a couple. I like this. Okay, so let's just look at both team comps here and let's do kind of the normal, what we feel like, how they match up together. So we're seeing nice diversity here, not goats, which is always a pleasure to not have any goats. Within this new meta, or like this new patch, we might see a little bit of a shift away from goats. Now, if anybody's been watching any T3 tournaments, like Tournaments of Future Quest, Tournaments of Future Champions, Monday Night Meta, AG Weekly, a lot of those Tier 3 tournaments, there's been a lot of goats still. Now, that could be attributed to a little bit of the teams kind of have been practicing goats for so long, I think it's like, 8 months worth of goats practice has been put in, so they might be a little shy from moving away to new compositions. But we see a lot more variability being able to be added, which is on display here, which is very nice to see. So we'll look here at the two team comps. So we'll do one here, one here. So let's look at the defensive side first. Now, defensive side, we're running with this tank line of Rein Zarya. Rein Zarya, very classic tank line, has a lot of strengths to it in that Zarya allows Rein, it's basically a symbiotic relationship, allows Rein to go in, swing his hammer, do some damage, get ult charge, without worrying about being damaged or breaking his shield, all the while Zarya gets her charge up, her actual energy charge, which allows her to do more damage, gets ults faster. It's a nice, mutually beneficial relationship. Reinhardt is a ground-based tank, as is Zarya, which means that while Zarya could do the same thing with like a Winston, if per se, you have like a high ground up here, right, and you're like this, and this is your Zarya, and this is your Winston, right, and then the enemy teams all clump down here, potentially you could have the Winston jump down with a bubble around him like that. That will get him 40 charge, or get the Zarya 40 charge as well. The difference being is that once the Winston's down, the Zarya is a little more vulnerable, and once her bubble goes down, she really has no way to protect herself from, you know, any kind of damage mitigation. Whereas the Reinhardt can go, let's just kind of delete that here. If, you know, the enemy team's coming this way, this is your Reinhardt, right? He can get the bubble, he can go in, swing to do some damage. Zarya stays here, and the enemy team can't really push in. He has this big shield still that he can hold back up. Gives Zarya a lot more safety net to kind of build her charge and get her damage and do the things that she wants to do and get the most value out of her. So you're not really having one mobile tank and one not so mobile tank, right? So there's nowhere to punish that. So I like that combo. It works really well. Combo can also work well with this Pharah Mercy here. Pharah Mercy is, again, another classic duo. Pharah keeps Mercy up in the air, makes her harder to hit. Mercy can damage boost the Pharah, especially with a new change to the damage boost, where the damage boost is applied as the projectile is fired rather than when it hits, is huge. It means that you can just basically hold down on the damage, fire, and then if you need to heal, you swap to it, and you still get a lot of value. So it's kind of an indirect buff to Pharmacy, and I've definitely noticed a lot of change with it. It's very good. And as well, you have the ultimate from the Pharah, your barrage, combos really nicely with right here with the Graviton. So you have a nice little win condition there. You have a couple there where you can Nano Rhine. All right, that's a great ult combo and win condition. So you can slam, Nano Rhine, and then you have the barrage plus the Grav. So you kind of have two win conditions. So if you play really well, you can kind of bounce back and forth with them. You can get the Nano Rhine Shatter as one. Okay, you win that fight. Next fight, you do the Rocket Barrage into the Graviton. All right, win that fight. And then you have ult charge to come up to for your next fight. You're coming back to this Nano Rhine ultimate. In addition to that, too, you can have the Zarya with the Grav, can help the Rhine build up Shatter, clumping all the enemies up together. Specifically, if what we're looking at here, we have a very tight-knit tank line, right? We have this with the Lucio, with the Mercy. They're all going to be kind of sticking together. So that's 4 big targets that the Rhine can kind of swing in within the Grav. Even if Lucio used Sound Barrier shields still give ult charge. So even if they survive, you're allowing your Rhine to do so much damage to build up so much ult charge, which is why you don't ever really want to... You never want to... Ideally, if you can avoid it, if you have a Shatter and you have a Grav, you always want to burn the Shatter first, try to get value out of the Earth Shatter, because then you can use that Earth Shatter... you can use the Grav to build up to your next Earth Shatter. So if you Earth Shatter first, then... That's kind of a dumb way of showing it, isn't it? Earth Shatter first, right? Then the Grav goes, and you use that to build up your Earth Shatter. I don't really know what these arrows are doing. It's still worth running Zarya if they charge 1 Grav per match. Depends. Grav isn't the only value that Zarya is going to have. That's not terrible, but not good. Zarya's value isn't only in her Graviton. Graviton is a great team fight ultimate, but value a lot of times is going to come from her ability to bubble and enable her team to get things done, basically. So, the reason you run the Zarya here is you're giving the Reinhardt a lot more space to kind of swing and a lot more survivability, to take more aggressive positions, to take the space he needs. The projected bubble can also, save somebody who gets pinned, save a Mercy trying to res, right? You can bubble that. You have a lot of options there. There's a lot of versatility running with the Zarya. Now, I will say, if a Zarya is only charging... Oh, 1 second. If a Zarya is only charging 1 Grav per match, that is going to kind of lend to other issues. That's not really explicitly a compositional problem, right? That could be the Zarya is not bubbling at the proper times. Generally, what I see with that is the reason Zaryas don't charge Grav is Grav takes a while to charge up, and what a lot of Zaryas are doing is they're not utilizing their right click. They're not basically... There's basically two... basically two style, or two, what am I thinking here? Two breaks in the fight for Azaria, right? So one of the reasons Azarias don't build Grav is they generally aren't doing enough damage, right? That's kind of a simple thing, but for Zarias, the only way you can build Grav quickly is if you get charge. And it's the reason why in Goats, Gravs charge so fast, is because basically Zarias are always at 80 charge. So, because it's all in a clumped up group, right? So they're always taking damage, and they're always going to have full charge. So, a lot of the times the reason Azaria will not charge a Graviton quickly is because they're not doing sufficient damage in order to build up that Graviton. And one of the ways that that's happening is either poor bubble usage, where they're using bubbles and not maximizing their effort, or they're not maximizing their energy, or they're not using bubbles and waiting for the perfect time to use a bubble. Therefore, they're spending most of the fight with low energy. So the way you want to build up energy as Azaria is there's kinds of two portions of the fight when you're running in a non-Goats comp. In a Goats composition, running Zarya is very different. You use your bubbles at different times. There are different triggers for when you should use your bubble. It's a totally different ballgame. But when you're running in a standard death ball style setup, which is what we see here, right? And I actually do want to talk about the tank line here in a second. But standard death ball setup with like this, right? Is that you can use your bubbles a lot more liberally when you're running standard death ball, because you need to in order to get your charge. And especially if you're running against another standard death ball, right? That's not Goats, that won't punish you as heavily. You are much freer to use your bubbles. So the two portions of the fight, at least this is how I think of it, right? Is the first thing I say for Zarias is that if you're using your bubbles correctly to save teammates, you will naturally get charge. Rather than using your bubbles to gain charge, if you use them as a way to protect your team or enable your team to do certain things, you will, by proxy, just get charged automatically, right? So I just say that. So a lot of the times being so concerned about getting charge lets your teammates die in ways that a bubble that might not get 40 charge for you right away would do. So sometimes you'll save your bubble. You go, I don't know if I should bubble this. It won't give me a lot of charge. It could save your team, and in the long run, that will give you charge. Or you even get the 40 charge right there. You know, dead set, perfect, all good. So the way going death ball to death ball that I like to think about, or tell Zarya is kind of how to run it, is you have two portions of the fight. Your first portion is kind of pre-fight, and this is where you want to maximize charge build. Like you wanna, what's a word for max? Not a word. We'll go with a big arrow. That's maximum. You want to maximize your charge build in this pre-fight. I haven't written with this pen in ages, so it's gonna look a little sloppy. And basically, what you're doing in this section, this pre-section, is you're using your bubbles in order to get charge. So if you're looking at a choke point, right? Like let's look at Hanamura. This is an overhead view of the gate of Hanamura, right? And you got your Reinhardt holding shield here. You can tell your Rein to move in aggressively, just like that. Not commit, just move in. Bubble him, get a whole bunch of charge from it, right, when he's taking damage. That's another thing. You should never bubble preemptively expecting damage. Always bubble while they're taking damage. The damage can be healed, and the bubble will allow them to move out while you're ensuring that you get the charge. If you bubble preemptively, a lot of times teams just won't shoot the bubble. So that's another reason Zaryas don't get charge and therefore don't do damage and therefore don't build Grav, is they're using bubbles. Like, they would use the bubble here as the Rein's pushing forward, right? And then he comes around the corner with the bubble. One, it's probably going to expire. And two, they're not going to shoot the bubble because they see it. But if you bubble the Rein when he's here, when he's already taking a bit of damage in the choke, they're going to have damage coming at him when you bubble him. Your healers can heal him up and he can back off, and bam, you got 40 charge. You can do the same thing, walk in here, bubble yourself, and walk out, right? Especially if you're on the attack here like Pegasus is, and you have the Lucio, and you can go in and out a lot more freely. So during this pre-fight phase, you want to build charge, maximize how much you can get, whether it's 60, ideally if it's 80, just getting that charge, maximizing your bubble usage, and then what you do is right here in the middle is you wait. You wait for your bubbles to come back online, and then this is the during the fight phase. So this is pre-fight, during the fight. And what that looks kind of like a Y or a Q. That's a G. What you're doing here is you're prioritizing saving, right? So not saving your bubbles, but saving your team or allowing your team to make plays. So what you do on this side is you use your bubbles aggressively as a way to gain charge, right? And then you've used both your bubbles, your team waits, you get your bubbles back, then they engage. You're engaging with high energy. So you have 60 to 70 energy by the time you're engaging. So you're doing a ton of damage. And then if you save your bubble to save your team and enable your Reinhardt to move in, then the rest of that charge will come through. Use it on yourself to save yourself or to give you aggressive positioning, to push that one support who's almost dead. Use your bubble for that. Save it for your Rein when he gets low, when he's getting earth shattered, when he has, when he's pinned or anything like that, allowing your Mercy to res, any of those situations, because the charge will come. So you should, by that point, have 100 charge. And if you're prioritizing your right clicks into groups of enemies, it will build up your grav a lot faster. So to go back to the initial question, is it still worth running Zarya if they charge 1 grav per match? Yes, if grav is in your win condition. If you're enabling your Reinhardt to do a lot of things. Zarya allows Reinhardt to do things. That being said, you definitely want to work on building the grav. I think about 1 every 2 minutes is not good, but it's okay. Like 1 a minute is top, right? That's like really good. Build a grav every minute. Perfect. If like 1.5 to 2 minutes, that's pretty good. But once you start getting past that, you really have to consider, am I using my bubbles right? Am I getting my charge? And once I am charged, am I doing damage to the right opponents? Right? Am I, farming their tanks for grav? Or am I throwing my right clicks, my little bombs into big enemies to give myself big charge? Things like that. So it's kind of a yes and no question. So yeah, it's kind of yes and no. So looking back at this, right? So we have Pharmacy, we have the 2 tank line, nice. Now, the big thing I really like about this over the enemy team composition, now this is a Sombra instead of a Pharah, but what I like about this composition coming from Licorice Whip is that they have the Ana. And the thing about this is that, oh wow, was that just a fucking meme? I hope not, because I legitimately answered that, but I'll take anything. Yeah, no problem, man. The thing that I like most about this Ana pick here, right? I'm going to take my ear out because I feel like I'm in water. Is that basically we're expecting the Mercy to be with the Pharah the whole time. And what that does is that opens the tanks up for a lot of punishment. Because one of 2 things is going to happen. Say this is a Zen or something, right? Ana does big healing. Like real big healing. So she's a very big... Oh, okay. Oh, I totally will. Actually, I can't really make fun of this choice. I can sort of make fun of this choice, but the Ana pick is a very good pick here, because it keeps your tanks alive. And what would happen if this was like a Zen, right? Is basically the Mercy would have to choose between big heals on tanks or big heals on Pharah. It would leave one of the avenues not uncontested, but unhelped, or it wouldn't be optimal to say. You could run the Pharmacy with the Mercy also healing the tanks, but then the Pharah doesn't get all the benefit, but the tanks also don't get all the benefit. So it's a little bit of a iffy. Ana is also a lot better at like healing multiple targets at once because she's burst and she has her nade. So it's a lot better for the tanks that are on the low ground because the Ana can stay very far away. She can shoot and she can stay in relative safety. And the tanks will stay nice and healthy while the Mercy and the Pharah can kind of just function as a singular unit and then, work it like that. Where you're basically fighting 2 wars where you have this is kind of the ground war minus the Pharmacy and then this is the air war, right? So you're winning that. The only thing I will say is that overall, I think the comp is a little bit, not disingenuous, but it's a little bit scattered because Ryan and Zarya are very good on Hanamura, point A. I won't deny that. But when you're running something like a Widowmaker, who, when you look at these four, especially Hanamura, actually, I'll pull this up here because that's why I have this tool, yes? When you look at Hanamura A and we're going on the defensive, right? We have the Widowmaker, who will say be sitting up here, right? We have an Ana, who an ideal Ana positioning is right here. It makes it very hard for whatever to get her. And you're going to have the Rein Zarya. I just passed Zar and Rein. Right? They're going to be up here. And then the Far Mercy, we'll just put up a Mercy, as this is a double Far Mercy, right? You have both of these. Right, you have all of these, different characters. Rein's shield isn't getting much value besides the Zarya. Ana's too far away to really get value from the shield, right? She should position in such a way that she's not going to get tagged by anything one-shot. Up here is perfect, right? It's hard for a Widow to be in this sight line and hit her. And if she does, she has to hop up here, and our Widow should ideally be watching those sight lines to prevent that one-shot potential onto the Ana. And Ana can even stay, up in here, right? And then Pharah and Mercy don't even need the Rein shield. They have no use for it whatsoever. So you could potentially, instead of the Rein Zarya, you could run Winston Diva here and go for a more dive-style composition and kind of work. But you're basically working in that scenario is you're working off damage done, right? Like the Ana, totally fine because she can even sit up here. And the sightline she has, the dive tanks don't have to be on the low ground. They can sit up here, they can sit up here, they can be up here, they can even be up top here, right? If the Ana's up here, she has sightlines and avenues to every single one of these, positions. So she's free. And if she is pressured at all, then by the time they walk through the door and get all the way to her, there will be an opportunity for a dive into the backline. So it takes a lot of resources to commit to the Ana, resources that could be used to save their teammates, and that resource commitment is when our dive tanks would be able to dive in. So if this were me, I would probably be running dive tanks here, also because I like to run dive tanks on defense as well. And generally for me, am I single? No, I'm not. I have been with my girlfriend for 6 years, almost. So no, I'm unfortunately not single. Or fortunately not single? Unfortunately maybe for you or whomever that question is aimed at. Fortunately for me, because it's lonely. It's lonely staring at your computer for like 4 hours doing VODs. It's a tough life. But I live it. So it takes a lot of resources to commit. I like point 2. My philosophy when it comes to 2 CP maps is whatever you're going to be running on point A defense, you run on point B defense. Now, there are some differences. Temple of Anubis, Paris a little bit, right? Is there, you can kind of mess with the comps, but that's generally because like the space between Hanamura A and B is like here. There's a lot of room for steamroll. Whereas on Temple of Anubis, it's pretty long, and Paris, it's fucking enormous. There's a lot of room so you can make switches and be set up. The worry is just the steamroll. So I would personally go for dive tanks here. I don't dislike the Rhine. I think it's unoptimal, and I think you could optimize with the dive. Because especially if we're looking at the back line here, you could very easily dive a Widow or a Lucio off of damage. And the way that you, this is kind of just a side note, the way that you do dives in a damage composition, so double sniper dive, Pharah Widow dive, Pharah Sombra dive, anything like those dives are inherently different than dives with Genji Tracer. So if you look at a Genji Tracer dive here, right, let's actually pull one up here, or let's just go with Hanamura. Oh. I will take the objective, attractive, and curiosity level. Hey, thanks, Evan. I am wonderful. It's true. I even did my hair up too for this. I popped it with the hair right there. I didn't have to. Nah, it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, so if we're running a generic Genji Tracer dive, like let's just put this in a fucking vacuum here. So let's just say for some fucking reason the Ana is alone. So I check. My crush is in this chat. Objective appreciation isn't weird. Fair enough. So say this is Ana is for some reason alone, and her rest of her team is nowhere to be found for some fucking reason, right? The old school dive was Genji and Tracer. Like old school dive, right? Oh, actually I don't want blue. I want red. And then red. So the way that old school dive worked is that you have your divers set up, right? They kind of get themselves into position using their mobility. And then when the Winston, and they can kind of harass the backline or a little bit, you know, do a little damage to kind of pull people out of position. And when the Winston sees a target, an opportunity to jump in, use his bubble to cut off healing or cut off an individual, what he does is he jumps in and calls the dive. And as he jumps in, that's when the DPS kind of go in off of that jump call, because Tracer has blinks, Genji has dash, right? Winston jumps in with the dash 50 damage, the Tracer blinks and one clips, and the Winston, who has his jump landing plus melee, any 200 health hero should get lit up. And, you know, this hero is also going to have a Discord on him. If we're talking Genji Tracer Classic, we're going to have Mercy damage boost. Like, that thing is getting fucking deleted. Hardcore. So that's kind of how OG dive works, where you set up your DPS and then jump in off of it. And then you use your Winston as kind of a spearhead to jump in on whatever target, and then you focus different targets from there. That is classic dive with heroes with high mobility. Now we change that up to say what I'm suggesting here, where we go a Widow and a Widow Pharah. So let's change it up and look at it on the defense, right? Winston's on this high ground here. Widow's over here, and then Pharah's kind of floating. Now, if their team's coming in this way, right, and their Ana's back here, if our Winston just hard dives here, right, without any damage getting done, Winston, none of the other DPS divers, the Pharah or the Widow, has damage that goes through shields, basically. Now, Tracer doesn't, but she blinks into their face. Shields are generally not a worry. So she doesn't have that. Genji has his dash, so that goes right through shields. That can just cut through anything. And Winston has his melee plus his Tesla cannon. So all of that goes through shields. So it's a lot harder. And DM, by the way. Dash plus Tesla cannon plus punch. All of that goes through DM. So it's a lot harder to peel for your Ana by just like being a diva and turning around and DMing. Whereas with Pharah and Widow, all of their stuff is easily DMable. And if you have a Winston jumping in solo, Widow doesn't want to like dive in, and Pharah doesn't want to dive in. They want to keep their distance and pump damage into whatever the target is. So if Winston's jumped kind of solo, maybe with the diva, right? The diva's coming in to protect the Winston on the way. That's only one or two divers, which is a lot easier to counter dive off of and punish the Winston and protect the Ana than it is in OG dive. Now, what we do here instead is what happens is as the Ana's coming through, we wait for damage to happen. So I call these damage dive comps, which is kind of weird because we're doing damage no matter what, but they're not pure dive. Damage dive comps, you wait for one of your DPS to do damage, which either forces a cooldown, forces a positioning error, or gets a hero low, where a Winston can solo dive and finish off. So a Widow hits like a damage boosted body shot. The second that damage comes through, Winston can jump in, and he's free to dive. It terrifies me that I'm on people's lists. So Winston's free to dive and then kill the Ana as she's moving in rotation. So, you know, she's done like a damage boosted Widow. Let's see, what she do? 125 off a body. Plus, is it 50%? That's math. But it's a lot. It's enough that a Winston can almost immediately kill the Ana from the jump there, and then it falls apart from there. Pharah's the same thing. She pumps damage. If she hits a direct impact, one of the comps that I used to run was a variant of Goats, which was, it was Winston Diva, or Floats, I guess. Winston Diva, Brig, Lucio, Mercy, and Pharah. And the way it worked is the Brig and the Lucio were kind of a backline that could help heal the big tanks and were very self-sufficient, so they never got dove, right? So you never had to worry about a counter dive because Brig could just boonk and then whip shot, and Lucio could boop and speed out. So they had a lot of self-sufficiency. So you were only concerned about the direct dive. And the way that it worked was that the Mercy would damage boost the Pharah. And what I told my team was, the second you hit a damage boosted rocket, that's when you dive. And that's how it worked. And it worked pretty successfully until Goats got crazy powerful and you couldn't run anything but Goats, and then sometimes 3 DPS. Blah, 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 blah. It's actually the exact same concept in 3 DPS in a lot of ways, where you go off of damage, but in Classic, this works with Double Sniper, with Hanzos with Widows, this works with Pharah and Sombra, anything like that. Those are damage-based compositions that you wait for those hits, or wait for like a Sombra to hit a hack, or anything like that. The triggers are more than just a bad position, or just jumping on a target. Your triggers are a lot more nuanced, and you have damage and out of position, you have a hack, anything like that. There are a lot of different ways you can jump in on that. So that's kind of how those damage dive comps work. It's just kind of a side note. Anyway. So that's this comp. So I like it. We'll give it a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Solid composition. Could definitely use work, but it's not on the lower end of the spectrum. It's got a lot going for it. It's got a lot of value. 7 out of 10 composition. So now, let's go to Blazing Pegasus. Not bad, but this definitely has a lot more weaknesses than the Licorice Whip comp. So the one thing that the benefit, so we're looking at the same Ryan Zara, same combo. We also have a Widow, positive. We have a Sombra. So this is again another comp that's very much leaning more dive heavy. Right? Sombra going in the back line. Widow gets damage in. Sombra goes for a half. Oh, wow. That's rough. Oof, that's not nice. I didn't say it. You did. Sombra goes for the hack Widow. This definitely lends itself to a dive comp. Now, the concern here is the not the tank line, the support line. When it comes to Ryan Zarya comps, the thing that they very much need is they need a lot of healing. Now, I understand the concept of reliable res playing Mercy with a Widow. You have damage boosted body shots, a lot of that. But what you're running into here is the same problem I discussed with the Ana without having the Ana. Lucio does not provide enough healing for these two bulky tanks to take space properly. If this Ryan and this Ryan go up against each other, basically what's going to happen is this Ryan is going to win because he's got more healing from the Ana than this Ryan's going to win because he has a lot less from this, right? Now, when that starts to happen, when that starts to happen, you expect the Mercy to come down there, right? But when that happens, the Mercy's not with the Widow, so you're losing value on your Widowmaker that you tried to make with the Mercy. To fix this, I would say this should be an Ana, right? Because an Ana can hide in the back, and she's not going to be taking that much damage. She has a lot of sightlines to the point. Or you don't go for the Widow, or you don't really care about the Mercy damage boost, because the Widowmaker can do a lot of damage on her own and hopefully hit some headshots. And you switch this to an Ana, so you go Ana Lucio. What Ana Lucio will allow is a very strong forward line here. So these two are just going to kind of do their own thing, right? Widow's going to try to take space in areas and sightlines. Sombra's going to go try to get a hack in the back and, you know, kind of harass some squishies, maybe some, what are they called, healers? While these four, if this was an Ana, right, they can just speed in and almost pummel this line because these guys have no escape, right? They have no way to get out. So they're going to have to take the brunt of that damage, and then it's the onus on the defense to either back up or have their DPS put damage into this line, right? So that, and then what that's going to do is that's going to open opportunities for the Sombra and the Widow, Right? The speed is huge when it comes to Reinhardt, even with the nerfs. So this team is very stationary and they must commit. But because they have so much healing, they can commit to the choke because they're going to be winning that health war that you guys don't have enough healing for. So unless you speed past them and don't take a lot of damage, which isn't going to happen because they're running a Pharah, you know, it's going to be a little tough. So we'll go 7 out of 10 here. I'm going to go 5 to 10 here because it's definitely a worse composition. This would, like, again, if you're running this, absolutely could run dive tanks here, right? You could just, especially with these, right? You could just jump over this line and there's no Lucio to take them back. They're stuck. You could just straight up hop over it. And these two are fine, will work with dive tanks, and even, you know, this would work with dive tanks. You could even make that a Zen and be fine. But, like, I can't really give more than a 5 out of 10 on the sides of this because it's a very disjointed comp. And it's not maximizing any values here. Like, it has the idea of maximizing the value here, but in practice, Mercy's going to have to be with tanks. Theoretically. Now, this is all conjecture because I haven't watched the goddamn map. So let's watch the map now. 45 fucking minutes later because I don't shut up. All right. Are there any questions, by the way? You can always ask. I'm just going to keep this rolling. Please, by all means, ask any questions. So, 1, I really like this play. It's a good play. All right. Good idea. Good concept. Can't even worry about that, right? Not going to say much. The only thing I will say is when you do something like that, I would suggest when you're running for this play here, don't have your Zarya peek out at all or be shooting, because when the Zarya is out here, if they don't see Orion, they're going to expect that he's somewhere hidden, because if they see a Zarya without Orion in front of them, then they're going to know right away Ryan's going for something tricky. So I would say just have your Zarya hide over here or something like that. We'll go the other way and I can do it. See, but this is, though, this is how you mind game it, right? Because if that's the play, you could go for the big baller strat, right? Everybody expects you here. Here, this is only for you guys, Licorice Whip. This is only for you guys here. You gotta take advantage of this shit. Everybody expects you to be here. But you're Reinhardt up here. Shh. And then, when they go check for the Reinhardt, because they think he's gonna be there, then the Rhine jumps down and charges this way. Gets the kill that way. It's genius. Genius. Don't tell anyone, though. If you're not on Licorice, don't talk. Don't say anything. You're mind gaming them. Use the mind games. Big brain plays. That's right. Alright, back to Rick. No one is listening but us. Good. Shh. Don't tell anybody. It's a secret strat. It's a mind games. You gotta play the mind games. Did the audio cut? I can't hear him anymore. I'm just being quiet. Yeah, I was just being quiet. Mind games. Use the mind games. Actually, I mean, legitimately, that is something that you can take advantage of. It's one of those things. Actually, audio cut. Okay. Have anybody heard of First Fight Concepts? First Fight Concepts by Spilo, I think is the coach's name. I don't remember what team he coaches. But his name is Spilo, and he does a YouTube series called First Fight Concepts, where he looks at the first fight in an Overwatch League match, and then kind of breaks down some concepts with, pretty fucking self-explanatory, right? One of the things he talks about is abusing enemy teams' patterns and things that they like to do, and vice versa. So if you're a team like this, where you might always want to sit there, you can abuse that expectation by setting up your Rhine somewhere else, right? Or if you're running a Junkrat, you could put a trap there, right? And maybe hope to get a pick. Or you could put your Rhine up here, go for the sneaky charge play that way. There's a lot of things you could do. Or you could even, right, if you're running a Reaper on defense, I don't know why you would, but you could even put the Reaper here, right, and try to get damage as they come in that way. Or if you're running Pharah, you could run the Pharah here, and then with the Mercy, and then pump like 4 rockets in, boost away, and be free. Okay, I was just checking. So you can subvert that expectation knowing that they know you want to do this. So they're not going to come this way. So they're going to come this way. So you plan for what they're planning against you. Kind of using your own strategy and using your own habits and breaking your habits in order to punish them. Something really good players and really good teams are able to do. If you like the ability to change on the fly and know, okay, this is this guy's pattern, punishing the pattern, and then, oh, they know our pattern, let's swap it up. So it was a good try, alas, to no avail. Okay, fire strike in. Hard holding. So you see, this is like where we see we can hold this choke here, right? Anna, you can see you're getting the free shots. This is good. As the Pharah, I would suggest just sitting up here. The less you're in open sights, the better. There's no spot, like, all right, so if we look at this, like, gate, right? So this is the choke. Actually, we'll do it this way. This, fucking Christ, I can't draw a straight line for shit. This is straight. This is the gate. And then here is, and this is like kind of the top part, which is like right up here, right? And there's that circle that's right there. And then we'll go with the window is right here, right? Okay, perfect. Brilliant, right? It's beautiful. They're only going to be able to ingress from this choke, right? Right in here. As a Pharah, if you're sitting here, right? I feel like this is just confusing people. If you're sitting here, right? You can boost up above, get shots behind them that way, and then come down, and there's no real way for them to punish you with hit scan at all, right? So if you're back here, the Widow could be anywhere in this range, up here even over there, and she can kind of hit a headshot on you since you're kind of out in the open. But, wait. Sorry, I was good. But if you're tucked up against this, right, you can shoot them as they come in the choke. You can boost over and shoot them on the way behind. And the only way the Widow's going to be able to get to you is if she goes up window here. And ideally, your Widow can say, okay, I know there's only one way their hit scan will be able to hit you there. I'm going to hard scope on this area. Like a big hard scope right there. So the second the Widow comes up, pow! She's clocked right away. Because there's no other way for you to punish her. The only other way is if she jumped up top. And again, your Widow should have that sightline locked in. So definitely don't play the courtyard. You might get more value initially, but you're actually taking value away in your ability to command space. Because you command this whole area is basically yours. They can't push in. All right. Whereas here, again, if the Widow's just sitting up top, she snaps you. Real quick. 1 second. I gotta go grab something. I get tissue. Oh my god. Okay. We're alive. We are alive. Okay. I apologize. I've had allergies. It's not good. Okay. Shit, that was my towel. Alright, back to it. Let's see how this first fight plays out. So let's watch the fight first and then break it down. I say that for myself because I forget to do that. Okay, yeah, see? Alright, now see, that's what we're talking about, right? With the bubble usage here. Using the bubble, going up to get charged, and then coming back. Let's see if they push in off of it. Let's see, okay. Yeah, see, alright, now see, that's a bubble. Ooh, yeah, see, alright, good kill there. So that's another bubble, right? If we're looking at bubble usage, right? That's kind of a bubble you really don't want to be using. Yes, you can save the Lucio, but that's kind of an aggressive push. And the Rhine getting bubbled here, like this is an okay bubble. It's a little harder to do this same pre and post fight when you're on the defense. You have to be a lot more careful because once your bubble goes down, it's kind of a free opportunity for them to push your Rhine. So I would ideally just save this bubble for saving. The Rhine being here, or the Lucio being here, I understand the concept of the set play. Again, the value, though, is just not going to get there. And it wastes a bubble. So now this Rhine, this attacking Rhine, has a lot less sustain, especially with the minimized healing. And if we look at the same thing here, right, what we were talking about, where is Mercy with? She's with the Rhine right now. And then their Pharah dies with no pocket. So the Mercy, I mean, the Rhine's taking damage. These are taking damage. So much damage is coming through, right, because of this Pharah. And because their Pharah can't get pocketed, because Lucio's not nearly enough healing, Mercy has to come down to the tanks. Pharah gets a free shot. And a free kill. And then, unless there's a res available, and now see, this is the thing, right? If you're in the courtyard, that's an easy shot. Unless there's a res available, it's going to be very tough. And look at all that damage coming on the Rhine. Like, a lot of damage. And Sarah's taking a lot of damage as well on the other side. But Ana can heal that damage up, no problem. And, I mean, this is, if you just look at the health pools, the only one taking damage is the Rhine. And really, that's the best person to be taking that heat, because we're already 65 to Earth Shatter. We're well ahead of the game. Boom, and then another one. And then bam, coming in for finishes. I like this. Maybe don't peek a Widow. So that was a really clean fight. And that's kind of where we can see the benefits of the 7 out of 10 comp and the detriments of the 5 out of 10. Definitely, you know, would look to switch something up here. Because again, if the Pharah just plays smart, plays around this area, right? Widow is going to get 0 value. Their Pharah, one, it's a lot easier to be a defending Pharah than an attacking Pharah, right? The best place to kind of look at that would actually be on... I'm actually going to get rid of this for one quick second so I can show you this. It's going to be, what's the... Oasis. Plunk. So on Oasis, Gardens is a classic Pharah map. Which one's Gardens? Middle one. Right, classic Pharah map. So if we all know what Gardens looks like, if we're trying to remind ourselves, Gardens has these little overhangs, right? So it creates archways. So the archways are where Pharahs like to sit. It's a lot easier to be a defending Pharah than it is to be an attacking Pharah. Because the Pharah, as a defender, or as an attacker, I'm sorry, there are only 2 ways you can kind of get in, right? You have to go over or under. The defending Pharah, who's not pressed to get anywhere near the point, can use this as cover, and she can just aim down into the choke as people are moving in, whereas the offensive Pharah has to be finding the targets. The targets aren't going to be at the choke, and they're able to move back, right? It is not the defender's onus to hold that choke, especially on this, right? Now, it's a little different on, like, 2CP, where you do want to hold the choke every once in a while, occasionally. It's not your onus to hold that choke. You don't have to put yourself in that danger. So, the enemy Pharah, the attacking Pharah, has to find an angle to get the damage done, or she's just hitting shield. Whereas this Pharah can use that cover and forces them, since they're forced to push in through the choke, can get a ton of damage in the back. And it's the same here. They have all this, right? She can hide up top, and as they go in this way or this way, she can do damage onto them. And the only thing they can do is push through the damage, either kill the Pharah early, DM the damage, or just heal the damage up, but they're going to be at a disadvantage. So the only thing the Pharah can do is you have to have a Pharah 1v1 almost, or set up a hit scan in a way that can take the Pharah down, or try to force something else. But you're never going to get past the Pharah through brute strength, which is exactly what is happening here, where the defensive Pharah has this advantage. As we go back to Hanamura, clunk. We go back to Hanamura, and we have the same thing here. We have a choke that has a place where Pharah can kind of sit, defend, and the attacking Pharah can only come through this way, or up high, which are all, one, covered by the Widow. So the Widow gets sightlines the second the Pharah starts to encroach on territory, and the defensive Pharah is free reign onto the choke as they push in, and there's no way to punish that. The only thing you can do is speed boost past, and then try to hit scan her out of the way as she rotates. Or get a pick on somebody else, and then start to steamroll. So, I like overall, really like this defensive setup. 7 out of 10. And like, see, there's no angle. You're not seeing the Pharah because look, she's hiding her. She's right there. This is good. And right away, the second you hop up, that Widow's staring right at your face. Now again, we should be what's the call? We should be below that line. And now this is a good kill on the enemy Pharah. But Earth Shatter went through. It wasn't really going to matter. And that's just a team wipe. I mean, that's well played, too. Like, it's another thing that goes with the Pharah, right? When this Pharah is so focused on this Pharah, while this Pharah is just doing damage this way, right? And the Widow is also focused on this Pharah. And the defensive Widow's not really worried and is focusing on the choke. And these guys with their excessive healing and now insane Earth Shatter charge is going to focus. The war's going to get won by the people with more healing. Because you're basically creating, like if you do this, you're basically creating, you're taking all these out of the equation because these 6 are fighting their own battle. These 3, if you look at these 3, the stronger one with the most healing is this defensive Honor right here. So that one's going to win. So well done on that front. And again, look, the Widow is right there. Now, I would prefer the Widow to not be sitting near the Ana. Again, I think a better position, right, is kind of around here, anywhere like that. You just get better sightlines on Window, on this, rather than with the Ana. This is a little too safe of a position. Up here, you can still get healed by the Ana. Just not a fan of that back position. So we do manage to get a good kill, but by the time they push through and push in, it's too late. And a res is going to come through. Because awesome. So now, even worse, we used Valk to try to keep that up. The question is, when did we hit Valk? We hit Valk. Oh, way too late. That's absolutely a wasted Valk. I'm not even going to give benefit of the doubt here. The second you manage to get 1 kill, but the second these 2 fall, your 2 tank line, no value on the Valk. You absolutely just have to let that one go, especially with how low your Lucio is. You're not going to save anything. You're just kind of burning it all. And at this point, we're looking at the phase of alt economy. Now, if what you're saying is the one grav is kind of this little thing with Cynthia has only managed to build up to Synthera, has only managed to build up to not even half a grav yet. In all honesty, that's because she hasn't been able to do damage because wipes have happened so quickly. All of her ult charge has been taken by these 2. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because you're going to have ult here. You're going to have ult here. You can nano that. You're going to have Valk. What we're looking at now is an alt economy swing. It's going to be really, really hard for the attackers to get progress because they're going to have to use so many ults to get in while the enemy team can react with their ultimates. So they can wait, right? We're not even close. Not even close. This doesn't matter. And this has already gotten used. So that's out of the equation. These 2, you know one's probably going to be close, right? But you can just wait and save one of these, right? And then use an ult reactively to one of their ultimates. So, okay, they use a grav and they start to push into you. You can even use barrage to counter the grav, right? The grav comes in. You can use barrage to make sure they can't get damage in. They have to use shield. Easy way to use barrage to get minimal value out of their own graviton. Nice double. Gotta love it. Solid Widow play. Now Ana should go back. Good. Nice drilled positioning there. Much better positioning from the Widow. I think, yeah, I'm not a terrible, ungood fan of this. All right, now this is starting to get better. I do like this a lot more. This comp is definitely stronger. Again, you could still probably dive this. Dive is probably going to give you your most value. But I would say if this was like a Lucio, is probably your best bet. Right? Ana heals. Boom, boom. Gets the nano here. And the Lucio is just going to give speed boost. The good thing about them, like, you can pick this Zen because they're not running dive on the defense. But if they're running dive on the defense, your Zen is so free. And Ana and Zen do not peel well for each other. And, you know, Genji has Nano Blade. So, actually, what you should do here is ideally is Grav Blade and then Nano Visor. So you have 2. So you have 2 because as Grav and this don't work together, whereas Nano and Visor do, and then Grav and Blade. So you have 2 win conditions as opposed to the 1. But the problem So if we look at healing combinations, right, there's only a certain number of healing combos in the game. And we're not going to talk about Baptiste because he's still kind of in the works, and, you know, speculations is a fool's error, right? So let's just look at all the supports in a vacuum here. So there's 7 supports now with Baptiste. Okay. All right, so when we look at combos and healing combos, there are 2 things that need to function, basically. You need to have enough healing or enough damage, in the case of Zen and Mercy, because of the damage boost, to not require the same amount of healing. But you need to be able to, 1, heal, and 2, peel. So heal and peel, basically. The 2 most common healing combos that 3 most common we'll go with is Mercy Zen, Moira Lucio, and Lucio Ana. Those are the 3 most common. Brig, rarely seen as a second support, should not be considered a second support. If I see you running Brig as a second support, you're automatically, I already don't like it. Not a fan right out the gate. So Lucio Mercy, the value there is that Mercy can quickly peel for the Zen, give him damage boost, which allows him to survive divers a lot easier, as well as the damage boost from the Mercy and the Discord from the Zen means that when you're in a composition that's utilizing Mercy Zen, you're doing a lot of damage. Those are dive comps. Do not run Mercy Zen with like a ground-based Ryan Zarya comp. There's not enough healing for your Ryan Zarya, right? But in dive, where you're not tanking a lot of damage, you're not taking a ton of heat, and you're going for the dive, the quick kills, the fast snaps onto the enemy, that's when Mercy Zen works. Moira Lucio, they have a lot of synergy together. Lucio speeds Moira. He can keep Moira alive. Make sure that they're all clustered. You see that in like 3 or 4 tank compositions where basically you just want to move everybody as a ball within Lucio's aura, and then Moira has a ton of AoE healing, so they combo well together. And then obviously Moira can, you know, heal Lucio up and peel for him, and Lucio doesn't really need to peel for Moira, so there's a lot of leeway there. Lucio can peel for himself, Moira can peel for herself, so that kind of together allows them to be a lot more self-sustaining. Now, with Lucio Ana, Lucio peels for Ana because what he can do is if someone dives in, he can amp heals, but he can boop them away and speed them out. So Ana, because she's very diveable and has no movement, needs to be sped out. And the thing is, when you could say, well, Zen has that same problem. He's got no mobility. Well, the problem is Zen can do a ton of damage, right? And heal at the same time. Ana can only choose one. Zen, if you damage boost the Zen, he can like one-shot headshot a Tracer, which allows him to protect himself, whereas Ana has to hit 2 different shots, even with damage boost, right? Or Lucio and Zen, right? Mercy does more healing than Lucio. She can keep Zen alive as well as allow him to do damage, and Lucio may be able to speed Zen out like he speeds Ana out, but the problem is Lucio Zen is small healing, so you don't have the heals. You have the peels, but not the heals. So you need both. You need peels and heals, right? Ana Lucio, tons of peels and heals. Lucio peels for Ana. Ana does a ton of healing. Moira Lucio, Moira heals. Lucio can peels. Zen Mercy, Mercy heals. Zen peels for himself, and Mercy peels for Zen. And the concept there is you're going for damage over the peeling. So the amount of healing you need to do is less based on the utility of the damage boost and the Discord Orb, which no other healer has. So you need to make sure your healing duo is proper. In this situation, like, it's not terrible, but I think a Lucio would be a lot better. And then Mercy Zen, the issue is Zen can't peel for Ana. She's they're both diveable with no mobility. No damage boost available there. And they're both able to get, smacked on in the back once they use. Like, once Sleep Dart's done, that's it. And Ana can't also heal Zen through, like, a Diva defense matrix, whereas Mercy could. So there's a lot of reasons you don't really run this, but it's not terrible. It's better. This composition is better. 6 out of 10. Oh, that's a 7 out of 10 comp there. That switch to Hanzo is a lot better. I like it. I like the concept. Now we're going for raw damage. I like it. We're just trying to burn shield, Discord. I like this a lot better. 7 out of 10. Now the comps are equal. Now it's an equal fight. 7 out of 10. Let's fucking go. It's getting lit up in here. Now, the downside is you totally reset all alts, so alt economy is still in the way of Licorice Whip. Yeah, see, actually, we can see here. This is no good. You only have sightline on window. If you were up this way and that way, you have sightline on everything. You're playing safe because you're afraid of their widow. That gives their widow a lot of power that she doesn't have, and one, she doesn't exist anymore. So definitely you want to be over here so you can see this, you can see choke, and you can see up top. Especially now that they don't have a widow. It's a little bit better, but okay, good sights. I like that early sights. This gives your team info. Boom. All right. Oh, big barrage, and yeah. Problematic. I doubt you got bubble there, but good punish on that. So I can't really see. So you're looking at the widow here. But I imagine... I wonder... Oh, I think I actually saw bubble get given to Ryan. Yeah, I don't know. In that situation, I don't know what comms are like. I would say you definitely, if you're going for that, you absolutely want to get the bubble. You died way too quick. You definitely didn't get it. You absolutely want to call that so your Zarya can bubble. And in that situation, you're going to give the Zarya charge. She's going to charge Grav a lot quicker. Right? Give it to her. But yeah, if I'm looking at this, like I'm seeing this big clump right here of these 4 enemies, right? The fact that Zarya goes from 55 only up to 56 there shows me that we're not using right clicks, that we're not getting big damage in big groups of individuals. And that's where the lack of grab is coming in. This is so far a very strong hold. And now you feel like you're a little more free. I would be worried about the Hanzo. One shot potential is there. Yeah. Unfortunate you let the Zarya out with 70 charge. You ideally want to chase that. Chasing kills is huge. It shouldn't be to your detriment, but if you have the opportunity, absolutely go for the chase on kills. Like, I want to see. And this is kind of what happens when you don't have a Lucio. You can't chase these kills down. But like, I would say just push it. Push a little bit and try to get a kill. Yeah, could go either way. What do you suggest me to do if scared of the other team's widow? I mean, there are 2 things you could do. One's going to be obvious, and one's not so obvious. First thing I would do is just go into Widow headshot games and play Widow headshot games. Like, consistently. Like, as your warm-up. Widow headshot only, lobbies. You'll find some people who will whoop your ass. But you're going to learn how to beat Widows 1v1 constantly. I don't play a lot of Widow. I'm a tank player. I'm actually 35, 65 right now. Bumped up into Masters, just feeling good. But I don't play DPS when I'm in Masters. But if I'm forced to, I am 100% confident because of how much Widow headshot that I play for my warm-up and how often I've gone against better Widows than me and beaten them in Widow headshots and how much I've played and how much I know the hitbox and know the snap and the flick and everything, that I'm going to beat them 1v1. So I've done it enough, I'm confident. So I would do that to, kind of take away the fear, period. The other thing you can do is if you are playing against a Widow that you are concerned is better than you, what you want to do is you want to tell your team to kind of pressure the Widow more and basically pocket you a little bit and pressure their Widow so that their Widow doesn't get just like a free grapple jump shot on you or just a free like, oh, I'm in the window and I'm going to shoot at you for free. Make it very difficult for her to take an angle on you. And what you can do, like, if we look at Hanamura here, right? We're just going to throw these out by the wayside here. Whoop, 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 whoop. All right, Widow. So if you're Widow, all right, and you can even, I assume that's why you were kind of positioned this way. If you're positioned here, the Widow does not have a lot of avenues to shoot you without putting herself in direct danger, right? So what you want to do is, if you're afraid of the enemy team's Widow, you want to take a position that you can, one, find value on their team. That is, with Far Mercy, it's tough to share the pockets. In that case, one, I wouldn't even try to share pockets. You should commit to one or the other. Widow is a lot more self-sufficient than Pharah is. And, like, the benefit of the Widow isn't that you're going to be damage boosting your Widow. It's that you can res the Widow because she's usually so far in the back line. I would say commit the pocket to the Pharah, and then, as needed, allow the Ana to heal up the Widow every once in a while. I'll start putting him in my warm-up, though. Yeah, it's annoying, but, like, you do get better. I definitely saw market improvement in my Widow play, having done it so much. So, I would say, when you're playing Pharmacy and Widow, designate the pocket to 1, and then allow the Widow to, you as Widow to be more self-sufficient. But, like, if you're afraid, what I tell my Widowmaker players, I think I was 10 more than when I was alive. I've played against some Overwatch League players. They're tough. I played Bacon Jack, who was hard. Danye was the hardest I've ever gone against. And then Baby Bay, who I was 2 kills away from. The little bastard escaped me. 2 kills. I almost won that game. I was frustrated. I wanted to beat him. But those are the only 3 I've come against. No, I played against Chips Hodgin on a paintball game once. And I'm sure I've played some others, but on, like, Smurfs or whatever. Like, they're all there, Smurfs, doing their warm-ups or whatever. Danye was probably the hardest. Was probably one of the best mechanically that I've played against so far. It was not fun. But, yeah, so what I tell my Widow players is that if you can't out-mechanic their Widow, or afraid of their Widow, which generally comes part and parcel, is kind of the same thing, what you want to do is position yourself where you get maximum value and you force them into an uncomfortable position in order to kill you. So, in the case of Hanamura, up here is max value. Because you get sight lines, or it's more closer to back here. It's not here, this corridor minimizes. Right here, at the top, on this roof. Actually, I think I can, there you go. Perfecto. Right on this roof here, right here, you have sight lines down window, and down main, right? The Widow, the only way they're going to kill you is if they grapple shot up here, grapple through window and you don't kill them first, or push aggressively through main. What you're getting is you're getting value onto their team. So their team's going to push through choke. So you're getting shots on their team for free. And their Widow has to take an uncomfortable situation in order to punish you. Or not a situation, a position, in order to go after the punish on you. So you're basically forcing them to take the 1v1 while you're keen to not take the 1v1. You're going to get value no matter what. And if they decide to take the 1v1, you can just run away, right? You can just jump back here, right? Because you still have grapple, and they've had to use grapple to get up. The rest of your team can shoot at them, and then when they're pressured out, you come back up and you start doing more damage. So you basically play in such a way that you're going to force them to get in a position they don't want to be in to take the 1v1, and then you either take it and win it, or just fuck off and let your team deal with them for you. And then you're never worried about that 1v1. So you never really take that 1v1, but you force them to play in a way that, like, if they played in a way like, okay, well, I'm going to ignore him. I'm just going to jump up in window and try to get value on his team like he's doing to me. Well, no, you can shoot him. He has to worry about you. You don't have to worry about him until he encroaches on your space, right? So that's what you want to do. You want to do it. You want to position yourself in a way that you get value, and you're going to force him to take the 1v1, or else he has the fear of getting one shot, so he has to take the 1v1. And then you can opt out of the 1v1 and allow your team to finish him for you or punish his positioning that way. So that's how I would do it. So far this is great. I like this. This is a great defense. 10 out of 10. So let's move forward. Oopsies, a little too far. Alright, so let's see here. So yeah, like, this is a problem. I can already see it, but this is like, wait, actually, did Zarya die and get rezzed? No. No, we rezzed the Pharah. So the fact that you're at 0 charge is definitely telling me that there's a bubble usage problem. Because the other Zarya is at 63. And like right here, all of that space you could be using to bubble. Yeah, like you bubbled your Reinhardt there, and you're gonna get charged that way, which was not bad. But like, oh, let's see how this plays out. Yeah, the fact that they let you get that res. Oh man. Yeah, he should die there. Yeah, nice, not bad. Good recovery. Good recovery. Yeah, but I'm seeing, what I'm seeing here is a poor, definitely poor bubble usage, right? So, as we engage, like, this is Zarya as she engages, right? She bubbles herself. Okay, fine. Right here, as they're coming in, what you want to be doing is you want to make it really, really costly for them to get through the choke. It's got to cost them. They got to use stuff. So they already use their Zarya bubble. Your Rein's at full health and has Shatter. If you say, Rein, go, I'll bubble you. As he goes in and hammers, right? Just you get charge. He gets damage in, and then when he does damage, your Pharah is going to be just finishing off those extra kills, right? Just goes in, but you give up a lot of free choke space. Like right here, you give up a lot of space, right? And now the Shatter doesn't work, but all that space that gets given basically costs your Rein his life. Because now, instead of like them fighting for the choke, they're already out in the open. So you've minimized all your advantage. So your advantage was your Widow could play safe and shoot down and down and down and down, and your Pharah could play here. But now, that advantage is totally gone because now they're in your zone and in your space. Right? So you've basically let them take that space for free. They didn't fight for it. They didn't spend cooldowns. They didn't spend health. Everything in this game is a currency, and you want them to spend as much as possible while you maintain as much as you can. So right here, they use the Zarya bubble. Great. Now, if you bubble your Rein right now, and he goes forward, right, instead of going backwards, I don't even know what boops you. I don't know what could possibly have, you must have just jumped back, right? If you do that, instead, they have to bubble their Rein to keep him alive, and then once they bubble their Rein, your Pharah is just doing free fucking damage in the back with no hope of help, right? And they have minimal heals, right? They have an Ana, but you can definitely burst down one of them, right? You can go for the backline, anything like that. And you're going to force them to expend health, you know, a nade, a bubble, 2 bubbles, while you are just kind of sitting back and waiting, and then as they push in, you can just hit an Earth Shatter, just a fat one. Right? They've expended resources. You can even use that bubble. It forces time. It's just time. Your Pharah with damage boost can just shoot the shield and work that shield down so you get a free Earth Shatter after. Yeah, not a bad Shatter. An unfortunate charge. Big miss. Kind of cost the life, but we got a res after it. And there's good recovery here. This to me just seems like, I mean, in all honesty, just a lack of targeting. Right, because we have, well, it's 5-5 now, right? And the Rein's in the back line. Oh, no, it's 5-6, yeah. Yeah, see, all right, what happens here, I can already tell you what happens here, is that the Rein's the lead of the team, right? The second that the Rein decides to go this way and try to help the Zen, right, it's far too late. There's no help for the Zen here. The only thing that should happen is this Ana should turn around and help the Zen that way. Right? But as the Rein goes and tries to go backwards, that leaves open the rest of his team members, basically. Zarya's dead, and that leaves open these guys here for punishment. He's going to die no matter what. And now he's out of the fight. So with the Mercy and the Pharah pocket, like the Mercy Pharah pocket, there's going to be a lot of damage that can come through that way. And Ana takes a 1v1 like a boss. So overall, target focus, Rein definitely shouldn't have left to try to help the Zen. At that point, you just have to accept that he's going to die. And then what you do is you're just going to win the fight on the point, and then the Rein's going to come back, and then you kill the Rein that time. So now we're kind of in an interesting position here, because there's a lot of ults on the side of Blazing Pegasus, and not a lot of ults on the side of Licorice Whip. So if I was looking at this, I would predict, I actually don't know. Ults are coming online. Let's see how it plays. I ain't going to predict shit. No predictions. See where we go. See, bubble for charge here. Again, it's the same thing we're doing, right? Ooh. Nano boosted plus the bubble. Was there a bubble? I believe there was. Yeah, perfect. Very well done there. That's how you kill a fight before it even starts. Now, unfortunately, you would have hoped to kind of pull an ultimate out of that. That's one of those situations where winning the fight early might not be to your benefit. Though, generally, because like ideally what you'd want to do is you'd want to force them to use an ultimate, like their Ana ult, their Earth Shatter, anything like that. You kind of wait until they're using something and then get the value that way. The problem is they're playing a lot of team wipe ults, so you can't really play that reactive style. So I don't necessarily mind this. The thing I'd like to see coming up is I would absolutely love to see a really aggressive Graviton as they're pushing in. And then, because you almost have Earth Shatter them after the grab, and they're basically not going to touch point. Unless the Zen touches with Trance. Right? That's what I'd like to see. So, yeah, good kill there. So staggered. They don't have a lot of time. They got to rush out. So I'd love to see a really aggressive grab. Just throw it out. Just chuck it out there. Kind of like that. All right. That was very, very well done. Licorice Whip paid their comp to perfection. Blazing Pegasus was forced to switch. And at that point, you were kind of already screwed. You had lost the ult economy, and you weren't really playing in such a way that your composition definitely didn't help. Obviously, I would have suggested dive. And actually not goats in that case, because I think that against a Pharah, an uncoordinated goats or a non-perfect goats is going to have a lot of tough times. All right, so now we have the attack. All right, interesting. So let's go with this here. See what we roll out. All right. Comp times. Let's judge them again. Also, again, if you got any questions, feel free to hit me up. I got you covered, boys and girls and everything. Being positive. I'm actually going to quick check my phone. All right, no questions. So we'll just go. All right, so let's go with the comps here. All right, let's start actually over here with Blazing Pegasus. I actually really like this composition. I really do. It covers a lot of bases. This one I'm going to give... Going to give an 8 out of 10. I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. Whoops. To this. We'll explain why. Again, we have the positive Ryan Zarya. Boop, boop. McCree benefits greatly from the shield. Mei is perfect for Hanamura for a defense, right? Punish very easily. Ana and Zen can both sit in the back. And this is one of those situations, well, now I said, Ana and Zen do not peel for each other. Well, of course. But in a situation like this, where you're looking at Hanamura, and you have, I'm just going to leave those there, and you have this back high ground here, basically Ana and Zen just need to sit back here to get their value, and it's very hard to punish them. Again, you have to go all the way that way. You have to really hard commit to them and waste a lot of resources to get to those two. So Ana Zen is actually a fine... It's one of the compositions that's very... healing duos that's very map-based. You can basically only play them like King's Row Defense A, where they have high ground where it forces the attacking team in order to kill them to exude a lot of resources in order to get in a position to even punish them. This is the same way. It takes a lot to get back to them unless you're running like a Widow. That's really the only weakness I can see to this composition, because unless the McCree hits the shots, Widow is going to have the advantage if they had like a Mercy Widow. That's really the only thing I can see breaking this composition. As well as a dive could, again, you know, the Widow gets the pick. The dive could just kind of jump into the point and then use that point pressure. This is actually one of those things, it's kind of an advanced concept, and I don't want to go, not advanced, and I don't want to call it like, you know, go too in depth, but when you're looking at an attack like this, where no ticks were taken, right, oopsies, sorry, where no ticks were taken, right? So Licorice only needs 1 tick. On the counter flip of that, Pegasus cannot allow a tick to be taken. So this is something that I call, I don't know really what I call it, but like use of point, basically. And it's kind of why I actually like the fucking Christ, I'm stupid. Why I like the Sombra, because I think what you can do here is you basically put someone on the point. A Sombra, even Dive could just jump right to the point and ignore the choke altogether. Like, if you did a Dive with a Widow and a Sombra here, right? It's kind of a weird composition. But Dive, Widow, Sombra with, like, a Mercy and a Zen. Just for damage, right? If you dive hard to the point with the Sombra, right? And 3 people are on the point, that point's going to tick up really quick. Somebody's going to have to come contest. And that's going to have to be one of the supports. And in that situation, especially because there's no Lucio, these 3 can absolutely kill one of the supports. These guys are going to have to turn around and go to the point, so they cannot hold choke, so Widow is going to get free sightlines. Totally 100% free. So you're basically, you can allow the Widow this entire, like, normally she'd have to contest for this space. She just gets all this sightline for free, because it's on the onus for the defending team to stop the single tick. So you could absolutely abuse that single tick to force them out of their position from the choke backwards. And then they minimize the value on the Mei, minimize the value on the McCree, who would prefer to stay close, because when he's in open areas like this, he's a lot more vulnerable, especially to a Widowmaker with a Mercy pocket. And then you could even potentially get a pick on a support that way. You could just steamroll that way. That's what I would have a team do. Need 1 tick, Widow, dive with a Sombra. Touch point, force them back, use their rotations in order to get maximum value for your Widow. And potentially punish the support. Okay, so, but overall, I like this composition. Has a lot of benefits. Has good combos. Mei, Freeze, and Grav is kind of the best you got. Plus you have, obviously, Nano. Ryan, and even Nano McCree is very, very strong. You can use that well. So you have combos there. Good healing line. It's very hard to punish that healing line. And, you know, Mei works really well on Hanamaru. I like it. 8 out of 10. I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10 over on the side of Licorice Whip. Again, fine with the Rhinezar. Oh, no. Sorry. 5 out of 10. Fucking Christ. That was way worse than I thought it was. I don't like this at all. Sorry, it's just going down further the more I think about it. Rhine without a Zarya is not very good. Diva and Rhine do not work well together. Rhine's Zarya is much better. Healing duo is okay. Ana is always preferred to Moira. Moira is only really beneficial when you're rushing straight to point. And you can't really do that with this choke here. And Ana is a much better version of Moira. And Moira is very, very niche. And I wouldn't consider this a point Moira thrives on. Nepal Village with a small enclosed space, absolutely. Horizon Lunar Colony, also there. She's very niche, very, very, very niche. Doesn't get a lot of play, and Ana's just a lot better. Lucio's good. Reaper sucks. He's really bad right now. You need the Lucio to get him anywhere, but the speed boost nerfs, he's a lot worse. He's very easy to shut down. Even looking right here, you have a McCree and a Mei who can both CC him. He's very susceptible to CC. He's needs to be with the team. He actually doesn't work that well against tanks, contrary to popular belief. He works well 1-to-1 against tanks, but you really have to get him in, and any range is going to take him out. And then Sombra doesn't really fit in this comp at all, besides the point touch. She works well there, but without the Zarya to bolster this front line, you're going to be taking a lot of damage really quick. Hey, what's up, Infinite? How you been, man? So, 4 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Blazing Pegasus, I prefer their composition. Yeah, okay, and we can see the positioning here. Perfect. This is exactly where the Ana wants to be. This is the value, and Zen's right there where I said. Brillante. So yeah, Diva there. Like, again, we look and just the Ryan. Boom. That's gonna be a Mei thing. First fight, you never know. In that situation, you need to coordinate your speed boosts when you know there's a Mei. You need to wait and go, all right, speeding in 3, 2, 1, and boom. burn right through quick. What's a better comp? Goats. For LW, if not Sombra. Well, okay, so I think there are two schools of thought that you're going to have here. You either can have the Sombra, or you don't have the Sombra, right? If you have a Sombra, I change this to Winston, Widow, Mercy, Sombra, Zen or Ana. Either works. Ana might actually be better. Actually, I'm going to go with Ana here. Ana and then Diva, right? They have to hold the choke, just like I said before. You can jump over, force them to point, potentially punish a squishy support with a hard dive that way. You might even want a Lucio here just to speed boost on the jump so you get a little further, so you get the choke faster. Yeah, sure, what's your question? I'll answer it when I'm done doing this. So, Widow, Winston, Mercy. And then what that's going to do is the second you jump the point, touch point, they can only afford one tick. So they have to come pressure point. So your Widow's going to be able to get on one of these sight lines and wreak havoc. It's going to be very difficult. And, McCree's a very diveable target. Both of these are very diveable targets. But it's more that the point presence that you have is going to force them to come back out of position. So I would go with that. If you want to run the Rhine, you're going to be running a Rhine. You cannot be running a Diva. You need that Zarya. You need that bubble. Lucio is great. Ana is fine here. I would say you even could run the Sombra, but I would go with like a Hanzo and like a McCree or a Soldier. Something with like, heavy damage. Or even you could just run, a Widow here, right? Hanzo Widow, just double sniper that shit. Should Sombra scout out for Mei for the team to push her? Yes and no. Sombra should. Every team, this goes for every single team. If you're playing a 2CP map, like Hanamura, Temple of Anubis, or you're playing a hybrid map, Eichenwald, Nimbani, anything, you should always have a Sombra leave, put her translocator in spawn, go scout, and then come back and pick your comp based on that. Now, in this case, I wouldn't say go punish the Mei. I would, again, scout, go, they have a Mei, and go, all right, let's go back to dive. Let's just touch point. Fuck it. Just touch point. Literally just go for a point touch there. But yeah, like Hanzo, you could literally run Rhine, Zarya, Hanzo here, right, works well. Lucio, Ana, Soldier. Right, I think that's a better comp that way. Lots of damage on the shield, right, is going to force their Rhine back, is going to force them to use cooldowns. If you're consistent with the Rhine comp, I think a dive would work better here. Ghost would work here, obviously. A Pharah-based comp would work fine again on the defense, or on the attack now, if you know that they have. Not necessarily a good thing, but that's what I would go. So this should just be game over death. But see, like, your Sombra already got into the back line. Like, she could already get value. She's in the back line. Dive with her. Let her put pressure and put pressure on the point. Force them to do what you want. Don't play their game, play your game. So yeah, definitely not a fan of this composition. Because, like, also, you do not have a Zarya bubble to protect you against heavy damage like a McCree flashbang, fan the hammer, anything like that. You have DM, but if they bait out your DM, yeah, see, again, same deal. You're so worried about the Mei, you could just avoid this if we just dove. And again, we put pressure on the point, but you don't get value out of it. Now you're getting in an issue where you've basically gone two fights by just letting them kill everybody. They are very close to ultimates. This is getting to the stage that happened to them. Oh, yeah, you got to die here. You got to go back or die. You're going to feed. That should be a clean team wipe. If they're not going to punish you. Okay, so this is... Ooh, okay. Oh, yep, no, there's the punish. Never mind. Yeah, that was kind of another waste. You did force them to use ult, but... You definitely just need to clean wipe. Much better to push a 6. And, like, really you have to look at this and say, what value is Diva getting? What value is Sombra getting? You're getting the point touch, but so what? You're touching points, so what? You want to use your translocator, by the way, as Sombra. Go up over the window. You want to be in their backline and touching point. That's your value. There's another one. Is this just a we win because we use ults? It looks like a we win because we use ults. Yeah, it's a we win because we use ults. Your Q was better than their Q, basically. I don't know what the meaning of snowball versus stagger. Oh, okay, yeah, no, I'll show you that in a sec. Well done by Licorice Whip, by the way. They use Q better. I think this is something that, like, in this situation, Ana needs to hit the nano onto the Rhine to keep them alive. Need to use trance early to keep everyone alive. That's a great EMP that gets trance out. Minimizes the value. Like, I mean, trance doesn't get any value at all. This is just a lack of what is the word? Reactive ult usage, because definitely could have survived this if we just hit trance right here to keep everyone alive, right? Instead of letting the Mei die, who had ultimate, and then you die, you got EMP'd. It's just... And then the nano didn't really get put to much use, so I would say that's just a failure to use ultimates on the side of Blazing Pegasus. Definitely want to keep your Rhine alive. You can use nano on the Rhine just to keep him up. Nano's a great way to keep your Reinhardt up, right? Makes him hard to burst through. Would have kept the fight alive because you would have been 5v6 or 6v5. You can use your trance, right? Survive that way. And then they burned a lot of ults, and then they come out. I think this was definitely tieable on the side of Blazing Pegasus. It was just not great ult usage that really kind of screwed them over. When I say snowball versus snowball versus stagger, a snowball is when you take point A very quickly, or without using a ton of ultimates, or just they used a ton of ultimates. You just take point A, and then you go to point B, and because you have ultimates ready and they don't, you snowball and you make it worse and you win almost immediately. That's a snowball. Going from point A and then winning the first fight on point B, basically. It's the idea that if you win a fight, since you'll have ultimate advantage, you can use those ultimates to win the next point a lot easier. Staggering is when the rest of your teams have died, right? So four people have died. And then you go in instead of retreating and get killed. You have staggered yourself because you're staggering your spawns, right? They're going to respawn, but then you get killed and they have to wait for you. That's a stagger. But that's pretty much it. That took a long time, even though it was a short map. But I actually went through a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff tonight. Overall, not bad, not terrible. Good shit, a lot of fun. Licorice Whip versus Blazing Pegasus. That was a very good match. I should watch the rest of it. Seemed pretty good. And next week, again, I unfortunately will not be home. I will be on spring break. But the week after that, hopefully, we'll get back to your regular scheduled broadcasting and all of that good stuff. Now, just to kind of go over my, I guess, commercial crap. If you want to see my actual Twitch, it's up in the corner. I unfortunately haven't been able to stream recently. I've been very busy with Open Division, as well as my normal job. I go from my normal job right into coaching my Open Division team, so it's been very busy. I unfortunately haven't been able to have time to use it. I actually think I'm going to stream a little bit tonight. So, if you want to go and see that, usually what's there, it's either Overwatch Competitive, Overwatch VOD Review. Tonight I'll do a little Apex, I guess, just with a homie. And, just anything kind of casual, and you can always ask me questions there and stuff like that. You can find me on Discord. I'm in the Owlet Discord. I am Frumple. Same deal. Same thing on Discord. If you want to message me any questions, DM me any questions, you're free to do so on Discord. If you want a VOD review, like an individual or a team VOD review, message me. I'm always free to do that. I'll always find time to do that during the day. If your team wants some help coaching, if they don't have a coach, or you just want like a second hand in there, again, just message me, and I'm more than happy to come in and, talk to everybody. I'll come into your Discord and discuss, not even just voice. I can just, text chat people and all of that good stuff. I like showing my face around there. So if you want to follow, feel free to follow. I may go live in a minute. I'm not 100% sure. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned anything. Are there any, just before I'm all done, are there any cursory questions, final questions at all? All right. Molto bene. Again, if you need anything, just hit me up on Discord. I'm more than happy to help with coaching, VOD reviews, anything you could possibly want. I so far know, but I'll message you. Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, again, if you want like an individual VOD review that you can send me that you recorded, if your team wants some help with anything, I'm more than happy to do anything. I just enjoy what I do. So if you want to, again, you can follow me on Twitch. I'll hopefully next week on Wednesday, I'll be back with another good one. And we'll get some more in and have some more fun that way. So I will catch you all later. Thanks for showing up tonight. It was a really good one. Lots of fun. So thank you for that. I always appreciate it. So thank you. And I will see you next time. That was stupid.